Very good evening to you. 11:21 is the time. Tom Swarbrick with you tonight on LBC. I have to tell you that it's been 7 months, but we have now finally sold our home. It's been a horrendous process. It's not a great process at the best of times, but with everything, it's been horrific. But it's done and it's sold and it's happening. I just cannot imagine your heartbreak and sort of sense of hopelessness, actually, if the thing that is going to help you get on, you hope, get on and up in life, ultimately, the value that is that comes into these places, into your home, is lost because of something you cannot help, that is backdated, that you can't deal with, that means that it is then essentially worthless. And it seems like, however much the intention was good, the effect has been that ordinary people are left with nothing. That because of the EWS1 form, which I know it's a bit in the detail, I know it's a bit in the weeds, but this is important because these are tens of thousands of people. If this form, which is meant to test whether the cladding is safe, means that if it comes back negative, the banks won't lend, so your house is worth nothing, you've got to do something. You cannot let this continue. It also seems to be unfair that it doesn't allow for whatever fire precautions are in place or the fire system that's there to keep the flat or the block of flats safer. It doesn't seem to take that into account. Why is it only this one particular form that decides whether your flat is worth anything and therefore whether you've got much of a future? 0345 6060 973 84850 to text. You can tweet at LBC. This is why I love doing this programme, because I had, up until tonight, when I was hearing what Rachel was doing and I was looking into this story, I had no idea this was happening. And it seems to me that this is going to start affecting, if they are now going to include tower blocks that are not as high as the 18-foot or however 18 metres that they were pursuing. If they're going to start looking at others, then a lot of people are going to be affected by this. Let's come to your call straight away. Here's Anne, a new caller in Whitham in Essex. Hi, Anne.
Hi.
Hi. Your thoughts on this EWS1 process?
Right. Well, I have a flat in Stratford, East London, in a block of flats, and 3 of the tenants there at the moment are completely unable to sell their flats. They've been told there's a nil value because of the cladding issue. We have wood cladding on the outside. We've had to pay ourselves to get a survey done, which has cost thousands. Yeah. We've been told it probably needs work. Because the building is less than 18 metres high, we don't qualify for any of the government funding, but we're still being told that the flats are worthless, can't be sold, even though they're saying it's a recommendation, but you can't get a building society or a bank to agree a mortgage on them, and people's buyers have had to drop out. Yeah. So we're now having to get it priced up as to how much it's going to cost us, which is going to be phenomenal because we're going to have to remove all the cladding, put all this stuff on. It's all in our sort of survey, and then, redo up the outside of the building before anyone can even think about selling. And it's less than 18 metres, so we won't get a penny for it.
What's the owner of your block saying?
Our freeholders saying that, as far as they're concerned, if they get involved, they wouldn't even pay for the survey because they would just pass on all the charges to us leaseholders.
I think, there is a separate issue, Anne, sorry to cut away from the first one, but the idea of leasehold in and of itself is becoming very difficult. I know the government have effectively banned leaseholds, but they're not doing it retrospectively, which doesn't help you.
I know, but it was always the way it worked, wasn't it? Leaseholders for flats and freeholders for houses. But, so our freeholder is saying, well, yeah, fine, but even though it's his responsibility to make sure that the building is safe, he's saying, well, I can do that, but I'll pass all the costs on to you leaseholders. So we thought it was easier to try and find our own surveyor, because at least we can control the cost of it then. But we've had to all, pay towards that via our service charge.
Are you looking to sell?
I'm not at the moment. Well, I am now. I'd love to now. Now I know what the problem is.
Quite. Yeah, I'm not sure anyone's going to buy it, unfortunately.
No, absolutely not. But I do know at least 3 of my fellow leaseholders are, and 2 have had their buyers drop out just because of this issue.
And there's
we're only 5 stories high. You know, we're less than the 18 metres.
And there's no prospect. The thing that is, I mean, the most demoralising thing of all of this is that there doesn't seem to be any prospect of getting this sorted anytime soon.
No one seems to be interested, to be honest. You know, we just did all our own research. Then we had to find out all about the building, and so I was trying to get hold of architects that built the building 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we just left to your own devices, really, which is appalling.
Why won't the banks? Because it's the banks that are defining these flats as worthless or as valueless.
Yeah.
Why don't they take into account the other things that presumably are in place in your block of flats to alert you if there is a fire or to help keep you safe? God forbid that should happen. Why is it just this form?
I'm assuming it's just purely and simply to cover their own backs, because everyone knows cladding nowadays is an issue because of Grenfell, and so it should be.
Yeah.
But they're just not prepared to take any risks or anything like that because it's risks to their money. So it's just like, let them sort it out themselves. So, I mean, I can't see that this is going to be resolved without government intervention, actually.
I agree.
And, you know, to say they'll provide money, even though it's on a first-come, first-served basis, and we found out about that funding and we filled in a form like an expression of interest because it was the end of July deadline to get your name down. But then the minute we found out it was less than 18 metres high from our surveyor, it was like, you can't have it. So, but we've still got all the issues and the problems of the people that are in flats above 18 metres high.
Do you mind me asking how much you've spent on dealing with this so far?
The survey itself cost £3,500.
Oh, man. That's a bit of a chunk of change.
Yeah, but and now, you know, and they're saying, I mean, I haven't got a copy of it on me, but it's, you know, you'd have to remove all the wooden cladding, and then it needs to have some kind of fire retardant thing put underneath, and then a new cladding or something put on top. But obviously at the time it passed all the regulations when it was built, and that was 20 years ago.
Yes, quite. And that is, again, where this is going to get very, very difficult, because, as you say, you didn't buy it thinking it was going to fail the regulation that is now absolutely the single thing that the banks will lend on or need to pass to lend on. You bought it and you were told it was safe. Yeah,
definitely. So, because the regulations have changed. So, and they're not, you know, no one's helping. No one's saying, well, OK, it's only a recommendation, less than 18 metres, but that doesn't stop the banks and the building societies saying, don't care.
I think that the government that declares itself the people's government is going to have to step in here. I don't know whether have you written to your MP? It's Priti Patel, isn't it, if you're in Whitham?
It is Priti Patel in Whitham, yes. No, I haven't, I must say, because we literally only got our survey through last week.
Right. And I feel so sorry for you and your fellow occupants there, because this is as you say, a horrendous problem that is not of your making and has no fault of your own, that needs some intervention. And I think you're right. I think it is only going to come from government. And until there is a sort of effective campaign to show MPs what's going on and to get some government attention on this, then I only see it persisting. And more people, it's not like you're in central London here. You know, Whitham in Essex is, you know, this is happening to places all around the country. And thank you. 0345 6060 973. If you're a mortgage broker, why is it that you're not able to get the money to lend to people or for the mortgages to happen on these flats based on this one form? It seems incredibly unfair to retrospectively then go back and say, well, we now know this to be unsafe, therefore the entire thing is totally worthless. I get they're protecting their backs, but it's leaving ordinary people absolutely up the creek without a paddle. Come to more of your calls in just a few moments' time.